Hello, and welcome to Inches and Cubes, a Warhammer 40k podcast presented by Encounter Wargaming. Our fearless hosts are me, Paul Mr. Fist Fowler,
Point and click Nick Kozlo,
and
Adam Truax, the truest axe to ever axe an axe.
And we'll be guiding you through our favorite parts of the hobby, so grab your cubes and come with us.
Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of the Inches and Cubes podcast. And so last week, just to recap for you guys, if you want to go back and listen, we did a faction focus on the Orcs, the Imperial Guard, and the Tau. And we covered the stratagems that you can use while you're playing in 8th edition. This week, we're going to cover our hobby progress, as per usual. Mm-hmm. And we are going to go over the faction focus for the Ministorum Doodly-Doos, Sisters of Battle, Space Marines, and Chaos, as well as just talk about the games we played, because we played games.
We did play games.
Not only did we play games, we played our first games of 8th edition.
That's true.
Ooh. Yeah, so, I mean, I think that calls for a little celebration.
Hello. Cheers.
Clinky, clink, clink, clink.
We're also extremely low energy, so there will be some
because
tangents.
We are coming off of 8 hours of just pure wargaming.
We showed up at the store at 1.
And it is now 10:35.
I was there at 2.
Yeah. Do you people see the damage we're doing to ourselves for your entertainment?
That's true. I'm going to have to get a foot massage. Paul?
Yeah. Back massage?
We'll do each other's feet.
Yeah, cool. I mean...
Me? Too?
We'll get a foot massage train. Oh, right.
The train.
It's sort of what we do. Is
the tangents have happened already.
Yeah, we sit in a triangle with each leg spread, and we each do one foot of the other person, and then switch off. So it's...
You've done this before?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I've got roommates.
So, now that we found a new hobby, let's talk about our hobby progress. I think, Nick, you're first, eh, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, just more terrain and dicking around with some conversions, looking at getting my knight set up so I can swap a bunch of weapons around. It's an old demon knight. It's one of the first Forge World kits that came out for knights, so it was only like a few weapon options, and now that Chaos Knights have so many options, I want to be able to figure that out. Again, I think I said terrain already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, did some
we've
terrain.
been going hard on that train.
Been going hard on terrain. I was at a cottage all weekend, so there was no hobby progress. There was lots of damage to my body progress. But we're back, and we're going to finish this week strong for our Dark Imperium event on tomorrow. For you guys, it's tomorrow.
Yes. Adam, what you been working on, baby?
Yeah, so I only wrote down commission stuff on the sheet, but then I also remembered terrain because Nick said he did terrain, which means I did lots of terrain.
Okay.
So last night and this morning I finished up our desert table terrain, which the guys have been working real hard on. Mm-hmm. I just kind of did some last minute airbrushing to just finish it off, and Paul's still a child. And then, commission stuff I've been working on orcs, so Blood Axe orcs for a dude who's getting ready for 8th. And he's all excited, so it was like a bunch of knobs with combi scorches and stuff. And
anybody who shows up and asks for Blood Axe orcs is all right in my books.
Yeah.
That's.
I miss when they used to have the clan rules, because I remember the Blood Axes were like, we don't use vehicles.
No,
we don't use any technology.
Mm-hmm. We'll run.
Yeah. His whole concept for this army is that they have all these cool camo patterns on them, but not because they know what camo does, but just because it looks cool.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And so, it was a bunch of, what do they call it? Tank bustas and Gaskell's on the thing, Buzz Gobs on the docket, and probably some other stuff, but I forget. So that's me. Paul, what you got, man?
I've been working on that terrain. Same old story that we've been saying for weeks now, but it's within spitting distance of getting done. And I have to say, I was saying to you guys today, I'm just so pleased with how the community's come out. Everyone in the club has kind of pitched in and given a little bit of time. I know that it's beautiful weather out, and it's hard to get yourself in a basement and just sniff fumes and build terrain all day. But it is so cool to see everyone coming out and really kind of lending a hand and taking initiative, and I'm really pleased with our club. It makes me feel real nice.
Yeah. So for anyone listening out there is coming out tomorrow, Saturday the 17th, we should have 10 fully surfaced tables with terrain ready to go.
That's impressive.
That is in like 2 weeks.
We had about a
maybe?
month and like 2 weeks of actually having a space that wasn't Adam's apartment to work in.
So like,
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam, for opening up your space, your home like that.
Pleasure.
And just like thanks again to everybody. I'm just so pleased and so impressed with everyone.
And thanks to my wife and baby, both whom will never hear this. But thank you for accommodating our crazy.
Yeah. And I managed to squeeze in time to assemble those Tartaros and get magnets in them so I can take the Reaper autocannon or the Plasma Blaster or a Volkite Charger and Combi Bolter. That being said, I'm going to move right into games played. I'm going to skip the order. I love Combi Bolters now. I love them in this game. Rapid Fire 2.
Yeah.
Stupid good. So games played. Actually, you know what? We'll stick to the order that we established. Nick, you played a couple of games today.
Yeah, so Paul and I played 2 games. Adam only got to play 1 because he got roped into filming Paul and I battle each other out. So I got to play Adam's Sisters of Battle. Very, very scary force. Great game. Yeah, just all around. It's a weird... very faith points are super powerful now. You can get some really fun stuff off as far as sisters go. We played just a straight up kill point mission.
It was called No Mercy.
It's called No Mercy. I'm loving my army. It's shooty, not too stabby, but when you get in there, if you do get charged or charge and don't get wiped out, like they can hold their own.
I mean, they're no slouch. Like
No, they're Marines.
yeah, and they're like cult Marines, and they're better than a tactical squad, like straight up.
Yeah, so we don't want to reveal too much because we're going to save it for our main topic about like exactly the nuances of everything. But basically, we're doing a hammer and anvil deployment.
Yeah, I picked. So we'll get into the actual phases, but we did hammer and anvil deployment, kill point stuff.
You ended up winning 12. Actually, we won't ruin it. The exact score.
We'll get to that later.
So here's a couple things that happened. Nick managed to pull off a first turn charge against my exorcists, which didn't really kill them, but it really took them out of the game because they ended up just fall back moving. We'll
get into how I managed a first turn charge when we talk about my chaos faction focus. But just fun stuff happened in that game. Do we really want to get into it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
And like so Celestine, right at the end, she took her last wound. I'll explain like more of my full thoughts tactical wise about Celestine later, but she took her last wound and failed her 2-up, which is a big game changer in that game.
Yeah, so I hit her with a las cannon, did like 4 wounds to her. You failed the invulnerable save, she died, and then you rolled a 1 for her to come back, and you had no command points left because you would use them all up at that point.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Which really shifted the tide of the battle because Adam was right behind in my back line.
So it took away Linebreaker. It took away me taking out a bunch of shooting units.
Yeah, you would have killed my Havocs because I was running 4 las cannon Havocs, bunch of Noise Marines, Terminators, Helldrake, and a Chaos Sorcerer.
Did my Penitent Engine surprise you or what?
No, I dealt with them pretty quickly.
But they surprised you.
Yes. Oh, yeah, when you got the faith point off and they were like, I moved 14 inches, and you're like, oh, no. Oh, no.
Well, are you guys done? Do you want to talk about your game more?
I mean, that's also the only game I played. So that's my games played. So
yeah,
that's 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, Paul, tell us about your game with Jay.
Jay, I gotta say that was one of the more fun games I played in a long time. We were both learning. It was our first game of 8th edition. It'll be a battle report that's up on Encounter Wargaming soon, or in a week from when you're listening to this.
Sure.
Yeah. You guys know how the internet works. Keep an eye.
They might not be listening to it on Friday when it comes out. We're not that popular yet.
I feel like you're right. But yeah, Jay was super fun. I think that's the maybe 2nd or 3rd game I played against Jay. Good opponent, like good guy. We were having a blast. He played orcs. Super fun to see orcs on the table. Last episode, I was saying how I'm excited to see them. I was right. They play the way that 7th edition hinted that they should be playing. Like, they're super tough now that you can't make them all run away. Like, I think probably like 9 or 10 of a giant boy squad did run away to Battle Shock. But the thing is, only 9 or 10 ran away. So there's still, like, I don't know, 20 more there. And a squad of boys took, like, a bunch of wounds off my Contemptor. Like, that's what you're dealing with now.
Yeah. Like, how many hands did Jay need to hold all those dice?
It's funny, in the entire, like, battle report, he's like, my hands aren't big enough. My hands aren't big enough.
I heard him say, he's like, I'm going to take these 9 dice, I'm going to roll them 6 times.
Yeah, like, it was just so great. I love huge amounts of dice being rolled. That's why I started this hobby. But also, like, the Contemptor just mashed a really important character. I'm not gonna like give too many spoilers for the battle report, but yeah, those Contemptors in combat, just brutal.
If they get there.
If they get there, shh. But I mean, in combat, strength 14.
Yeah, that's
like which.
Are they strength 7?
They're strength 7.
So they are.
Yeah, it
strength
doubles
4,
their strength, and it's minus 3 AP. So it's just like mashing stuff.
What's the damage on them?
3.
Oh,
right?
Oh, just a straight 3.
That'll just kill anything.
Yeah, so it was so fun to, like, just say, it's like, oh, well, you know, this guy's toughness 7. It's like, cool, I win him on 2s because I'm strength 14.
Yeah, stats not capping out at 10 anymore is interesting. I don't think it ever came up in any of my games.
Not in our game,
Yeah. Other thing that I really liked is how the psychic phase functions.
Yeah.
Which I deliberately took a librarian to, like, kind of test that out. Really pleased with how that worked in both my games. And yeah, scouts for MVP in both games.
Both games?
Both games.
Oh, yeah. So the second game, Paul and I played each other. It was an absolute slugfest. I won't spoil the battle report, but I made a grievous tactical error in the last turn that cost me the game, despite me having overwhelming superiority to Paul's 2 models.
Yep.
What'd you have? You had 1 Terminator with 1 wound left.
And a Rhino. An unwounded Rhino.
An unwounded Rhino, and he still managed to pull off a win against, like, a full squad of Noise Marines, 2 Rhinos, a Helldrake, and a bunch of and 1 Havoc kicking around.
Helldrake was limping.
Helldrake was definitely limping. I'm really loving how vehicles reduce effectiveness. I know you played with your Land Raider.
Yeah, and, like, honestly, that Land Raider is a beast. Like, it is the way it should function. You poured so much fire into that thing for, like, 4 turns? And it died on turn 4 or 5?
I think Blastmasters killed it. No, it was the Las Cannon.
Yeah.
It was the last. So I took a squad of Las Cannon Havocs, and I gotta say, they're gonna go on every single list I build from now on.
Yeah.
You're hitting on 3s. Wounding most things, like heavy vehicles, you're wounding most of them on 3s. And then just D6 damage.
So good.
Oh,
you get that 6, you get so happy.
I did how many wounds to your Contemptor in the first turn?
8.
8 wounds to it in 1 round of shooting.
Yeah. I was just like, woof. And, like, so Nick, like, takes me aside right before the game. He's like, I'm going to kill your scouts. I'm going to kill your Contemptor. I'm going to take half the wounds off of your Land Raider. And, like, he gets into combat with the scout. Well, he, like, takes the Land Raider in 1 turn of shooting. First turn, down to 10 wounds. And I was like, you son of a bitch.
He's a prophet.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, what powers am I messing with?
That was my battle plan. The Contemptor, that was, even when he revved up, he only fired his assault cannon once, and it was scary.
Oh yeah,
you
like,
could just hear that thing spin up.
And yeah, I love the visual of that thing.
Yeah.
No fire arcs is something that makes my heart sing.
It makes the game so simple. That streamlined the game so much. Like, we were doing 1,500 points. Took an hour and a half for Adam and I to play. Took a little bit longer for you and I to play because we were filming. So we're obviously, Adam was giving his 2 cents and correcting us when we made mistakes.
Yeah.
We had to wait for Adam to get off the phone a couple times.
Hollywood. But, like, I gotta say that it's another credit to the club that, like, we're learning all this together, and it's not, like, a big problem.
And I'm just going to say this right now, for any of you who are listening Friday and are coming out on Saturday or are just getting out in your 8th edition games, I caught myself doing this a couple times. Well, Adam caught me.
This is my classic line of the day.
Yeah,
that's a 7th edition assumption.
Yeah,
check it.
Don't assume anything. Like, this is a new game. There's so many new rules. There's so many things that are just not what you think they are. You need to go to the rulebook and check. And don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, and like I did not feel bad about like asking you to check rules because I wasn't like you piece of shit.
No,
oops, sorry. It's been a long day, you guys. Yeah, I felt like we're all peers here. Like let's the sorcerer thing where it's like you can only cast an amount of powers that it says in your unit profile.
Right, because I was thinking back to 7th edition, right, where if you can you can cast as many psychic powers as you have, and you have 3 psychic powers as a chaos sorcerer. But it says in the sorcerer's profile that you can only cast 2.
Yeah, and like I kind of like that, like because it leaves a couple of tools in your belt.
Yeah,
but
you got to choose, right?
Yep.
Of course,
you got to choose. You have 3 powers, and you got to choose them. But man, we'll get into psychic later, but love it.
Yeah. Also, 2 wound Terminators.
Oh yeah,
dudes, my dudes, Terminators are back. Like, also Terminators getting saves against plasma. Like, not just straight up eating it.
Even just having. Remember how you were like, "There's so many more 6s and 8s." It's because there's so many more times where you actually get to roll the dice and have that chance be a thing.
Yeah,
before it wouldn't be a thing, right?
Yeah, I made 3 6-ups today on the first turn.
Yeah, I fired 5 comedy meltas into Paul's Land Raider at Melcher range. Wounded with all 5.
Oh, yeah.
And you made 3
out of 5.
Yeah. I mean, 3 out of 5. Now, I rolled 10 wounds with the remaining 2 dice.
Yeah.
But, like, if you had not... Like, that Land Raider would have been gone first turn. So, Meltaguns work well on vehicles. Another thing we noticed as well is Power Fists and Chain Fists really underwhelming.
Against...
It's that minus the hit, right?
Yeah, it's against vehicles I find they're underwhelming.
Yes.
But against characters or, like, multi-wound models, you're laughing.
Yeah, you just gotta tap them once or twice.
I think the thing that gets me is that Chain Fists are just 2 wounds straight up.
Yeah.
Which is like... But they're minus 4 AP, but it's still just like...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they were way more effective than that.
You'd think they'd
realistically.
You'd think that a Chain Fist is like a handheld las cannon.
What's how many damage is the power?
D3. To me, a Chain Fist should be D6 damage against something with the vehicle keyword. Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me. Just straight up 2 damage, you're like, meh. This isn't really doing much against a vehicle.
No. Yeah, so like same effectiveness against infantry, but more damage, potential for more damage against tanks.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so Paul and I, we played... actually, I've noticed this. A lot of the missions are very similar to 7th and 6th. Mm-hmm. So we played Eternal War because we didn't have the Maelstrom cards, and none of us wanted to be rolling dice to figure out our objectives.
Get out of here.
So the game that Paul and I played was the old Command and Control. I think it was called...
It's Secure and Control.
Okay, so it's completely different now. Completely different. So it's just one objective in each deployment zone, and each objective is worth 3 points. Then you have your standard Slay the Warlord, First Blood, and a line breaker rules.
Mm-hmm. No assumptions. They all work the same.
Yeah, they all work very, very similar.
They're the same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, the secondary objectives, they work exactly the same. So I think this is a good time to start breaking down the phases and how we played them and what we felt about them.
Cool. So let's pause right here, and we'll get on with our main topic.
And so right before we jump into it, here's a quick word from our sponsors. These are people who love the hobby and want to enhance your gaming experience by either offering a product or a service. Check it out.
Hello. Do you like having fun more than winning games?
No, nobody likes that.
But I'm a better painter than I am a player.
Then Hogtown 40K is the club for you. This club is for people to meet and share ideas and promote all aspects of Warhammer 40K. We host hobby events, from building and painting evenings, low-pressure tournaments, and random pub nights. Look us up on Facebook, Hogtown 40K.
We're obnoxious about being bad at Warhammer.
Battle Brothers Studios, a commission painting service passionate about making your miniatures and your gaming table look great. Our philosophy at Battle Brothers is this: your army is our army. Every model will be something you can be proud to show off. Send us a message on facebook.com/BattleBrothersStudios for a free quote and make that dream project come to life. We also have something special planned for the release of 8th edition of 40K. Right now, get 20% off if you commission us to paint an 8th edition starter set, or get a 10% off Army Bundle bonus for painting up your new 8th edition 40K Army. Inquire with us on Facebook for full details.
All right, so moving into our main topic, we're going to be talking about the different phases. Adam, come on, man. All right, so we're going to be talking about deployment. Paul, get it together. All right, so we're going to talk about the different phases of the game, and I got to own myself to blame for that one, I'm not going to lie. Different phases of the game, we're going to walk you through it. We're going to talk about some of the things we noticed playing today. If you're listening on the Friday before the 17th, you're going to get some good tactics from us. Some sneaky stuff that we noticed. So, deployment. Deployment is awesome. The way that everything works now, so it's one roll-off, and everything kind of cascades from that roll-off. So the winner of the roll-off, Adam.
Turn your phone off. What do you got, some kind of wife and baby?
The winner of the roll-off actually picks the deployment zone for the mission.
Yeah, I like
The
this.
deployment map and their deployment zone.
Right, so they pick the deployment map, which we have 6 types now, and I've noticed they stole quite a bit from 30K.
Yeah,
And here's the interesting thing about that is you deploy the objectives and then you pick your deployment map.
Yes.
yeah.
That's
so,
huge, yeah.
So if you get that first choice and first deployment, you know you're getting a certain amount of objectives because they're already on the board.
Yeah.
And you can start to like place your objectives in a way that's conducive to the deployment map that you want to pick.
Right. Well, the mission we played was very specific, right?
Yeah.
The objectives had to be placed in your deployment zone, so the deployment zones were set ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So the missions are very
But for
specific.
Maelstrom, it'll really impact it.
Maelstrom will definitely impact it. So, roll off, one person picks, deploys, and then some missions, the other person starts deploying units. Sometimes the person who picked the deployment zone starts deploying units, and basically you alternate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the insane part is that the person who finishes deploying first, so if Paul has 8 units, and I have 7 units, and I finish deploying before Paul, I choose to go first or second.
Big deal.
Love this change as like somebody who loves running a really that Lagerdale's nice, right? As someone who likes to run really elite armies, like in 7th edition, I love the First Company Task Force.
Yeah,
like that was my go-to. It's cool that like if I have a really small army, I can deploy it really quickly, and then I get to choose whether or not I go first or second.
Yeah. Now, one thing to keep in mind, we didn't really deal with this a lot because I think I was Adam did too. We both had units in reserve. Mm-hmm. I think the old 6th edition rules are back, where only half of your army can be in reserve unit-wise. So no more Alpha Strike, pure drop pod army. Connor, get your drop pods, sell them on eBay. They're done.
Connor, keep your drop pods because you can do some pretty fun stuff with them.
Yes, you can. But here's what was I going to say?
I think you were going to say that deploying units in reserve counts as deploying them.
Yes, that is exactly what I was
Right.
saying.
So Paul deploys a unit of scouts, and I say, this Chaos Lord is now in the teleportarium chamber in space.
I know. You kept saying teleportarium. I was like...
It's because I kept calling it. He's like, this one's in the spaceship. In the teleportarium. Why, yes, kind sir.
Yeah, like,
That's what the rule says.
I know.
The rule says deploy this unit in the teleportarium.
I love the idea of like some rules writer being like, I wonder how often I can get someone to say teleportarium.
So it was
the
quite funny.
The Terminator Aquarium?
Because basically I forced Paul to deploy 2 units before I put anything down on the board.
Yeah, which actually really... in my first game that I played against Jason, he was able to out-deploy me in a couple of ways. because I had that small army. So, like, he put down his boys, he put down his grots, he put down his cans, and, like, a bunch of other... He like, deployed all his characters one by one. So by the time that I was fully deployed, he was able to put down his high-priority targets in a way that was advantageous to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool. Like, so that's the advantage that a larger unit army will have.
For sure.
But at the same time, like, then I can... If I have a fast army, I can redeploy it really easily. Or if I have something with deep strike, I can redeploy it really easily.
On paper, but Paul had the initiative stolen on him in both games played today.
Spoiler alert!
There's too many 6s and 8s.
There's two things that this harken backs to for me that make it like really fun and nostalgic. Is one, in 3rd edition, that's when I started playing, when you had to deploy back and forth, but in a certain order, like HQ elites, troops, fast, all that
And
kind of
30K had that in the one mission. From
yeah, they
Boris
brought that
Heresy.
back for 30K. But then it also harkens back to when the good old, I think it was 6th edition fantasy, they might have kept it for later, but I stopped playing at that point, when you got +1 to first turn roll if you finished deploying your army first.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, like that's a cool thing I really enjoy. And I just found that was like a really cool trade-off between having a big army and having like a tiny, like, fierce army.
One thing I did notice as well, especially when it came to Paul's scouts, there's some weird things that happen. So scouts and a couple other infiltrating units have a rule where when they're deployed, infiltrate doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Not in its old iteration. It still exists, but there's no infiltration phase, the deployment phase.
Yeah.
You just decide to deploy the scouts or Pathfinders.
Yeah, it's a lesser deep strike.
Right, it's a lesser deep strike, so it happens in order, so we're alternating. So Paul deploys his scouts. Now, Paul could have decided to deploy his scouts in my deployment zone.
9 inches outside the deployment zone.
Oh, it's 9 inches outside the deployment zone.
Yeah.
Okay. But I could then deploy a unit within 9 inches of Paul.
Right. So then it's just like...
Really? So, and that's what his rule says?
No, that's how it would.
So if he deployed
Okay.
right on the line 9 inches outside of my deployment zone,
Right.
I could deploy a unit right at the edge of my deployment zone within 9 inches of him.
Like, you're talking about reacting to his infiltrate.
Exactly. Yeah. So you kind of want to save your infiltrators for last if you can.
There's a de facto infiltration.
But it's not built into the game.
Right.
You have to, as a player, do the deployment properly to take advantage of the rules that your army has.
Well, that is the game that we played. I 100% put those scouts like so close to you,
Yep.
that it just pulled a very powerful unit, your Helldrake, away.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that the scouts were going to hold them up for like 2 turns.
I didn't think so either.
But like I knew it was like he's just gonna have to deal with that, or later in the game I'm gonna have like a unit in your backfield.
Yeah, which is why I sent the Helldrake after that, because it was an objective game and I didn't need 5 scouts just ping 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 in the back. So
And here's a fun trick: just put a power fist in your scout squad.
that was surprising.
It's 20 points, and then like a Helldrake is like, wait, what? And you're just mashing at it.
Yeah, still killed you.
You still
Actually, no, it was the Rhino who killed your sergeant.
yeah, Ryan.
We'll get to that in the assault phase. Surprise, Rhinos surprise you.
But to get back to your point, it's really fun to use like quote unquote scare quotes infiltrators to draw fire.
Oh yeah,
Like that was what like let me look.
Is there any restriction on line of sight like the old infiltrate?
nope.
Just
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it.
So if you know you're going first,
Yeah, just like put them wherever you want.
But really, I
you can
spent
charge first turn.
Yeah.
I spent
Oh, you totally can. Amazing.
so I spent 70 points to get your Helldrake just off my back.
Wait, that was 70 points,
yeah,
including the Power Fist.
including Power Fist.
How many points did they base?
They are
You can also give them a
11.
combi weapon, I bet.
yeah,
Yep, they're 11 points.
11 base.
Did you pay for the bolters?
They're free.
I know.
Yeah, they're free. So yes,
I'm going to ask
Did you
that,
write it down?
you guys
I'm
couldn't.
going to ask that to everybody just
You guys
to make them.
You guys
double check
couldn't
this
see
list.
my face become panicked where I was like, oh god, I've screwed 2 dudes today. Wait. I'll stand by it.
I don't like that beer.
No?
It's drinkable, but
Yeah. because
Yeah.
some are hit, some are missed.
Yeah, Phillips Blue Buck. That's okay. It's 5% alcohol, though, so...
But you said the last Phillips was amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the shortwave West Coast Pale Ale.
Yeah, so... And that's 5.2. Jeez Louise.
Good on you, BC.
Yeah.
All right. So, does anyone have any other points for the deployment phase?
I love how we spent 10 minutes talking about deployment.
Yeah. Well,
We're
like,
worried
this
we
is
weren't
the-
going to fill an
Awesome,
hour.
isn't it?
Yeah.
What does Rolling Rock taste like?
Rolling Rock? Oh, just beer, actually.
Water.
Just lowercase
Water.
beer.
You just want an excuse to drink your beer.
Yeah, that's okay.
Move it.
Welcome to Inches and Cubes, the beer and Warhammer podcast. Holy God, we could do that podcast.
Deployment was amazing. It was like a weird little mini game. It was fun. It was entertaining. What it came down to in mine and Paul's game is I think we actually had the exact same number of units.
Yeah.
So, Paul, when you put guys in transports, it counts as one deployment.
Mm-hmm.
So, Paul put a tactical squad in a Rhino, a Stern Guard squad, and a Librarian in a Rhino, which reduced his model count.
Yep.
So, his deployment unit count. And then at the very end, he was like, if I deploy my Terminators inside the Land Raider and deploy it, I'm done.
Yeah, I get first turn. Because
Well.
in theory.
If you don't get the initiative stolen on you.
It's actually a neat trick, because now I'm going to have to go back and look to see if my Imagifiers, which we'll get into more of this later, can do their little faith buff thing when they're in the tank.
They can't.
Yeah.
We talked about that when we were dealing with Paul's Psyker. It says any aura abilities are nullified when you're within a tank.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Well, that's why I'm saying I'll have to read, because any unit data sheet can say whatever it wants.
Yeah, it
and
says
it'll prevent
unless
anything.
specifically.
It says unless specified in the data sheet, it doesn't take effect.
So
You know,
I'll talk about how funny
Yeah.
the Imagifiers are.
Like, Jay's not here, so we can't talk about orcs.
Yeah.
But for example, the Big Mech's aura ability says in it, when you're inside a vehicle, the vehicle has a 5-up invul save.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the Big Mac, that's the guy that gives the invulnerable save.
Yes.
I gotta say, Jay was like really smart the entire game about like keeping units 100% inside that.
Yeah. Well, it's units again. It's not models.
Daisy,
Yep, right.
Daisy chain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was really smart about that.
So let's move on to the movement phase.
Yeah, not a ton to say other than there are some units that are friggin' super fast.
I don't know why Helldrakes move 30 inches, but I love
really
it.
fast.
I got a first turn charge off with a Helldrake in both my games played today.
Yeah,
I got first blood against Adam.
Yeah, just killed a little Imagifier standing there.
Yeah, just went beeline for him, murdered him with the Bale Flamer, and then charged him.
you did not get first blood on
I
me
did not get first blood on you
because my scouts are dead hard, mate. Like they just,
Yeah, that was surprising.
Get wrecked, mate.
yeah. Fun fact: unit of scouts is 1 power level higher than a unit of tactical marines.
Higher?
What are the points?
Yeah, I don't. The points don't work out. Like,
It's so weird.
yeah, like
We'll have a whole conversation about power level and points later.
yeah.
I can't read your writing.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. This doesn't make sense. Don't worry.
Okay,
about it.
don't worry. Okay.
He's trying to read my writing.
Movement phase.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'm actually wrong.
So the initial movement phase is kind of pretty standard.
How did we feel about having to get out of your transports before you move?
I loved it
I really liked that actually.
because you're still moving 9 inches.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, 'cause
Honestly-
you get out 3 and you can still move,
Yep.
right?
Well, dude, like in one turn, I got in one side of my Rhino and got out the other, and I moved like 20 inches.
Wait, what?
I like in one turn,
He embarked.
I embarked.
Oh, and move the Rhino. Oh,
And
okay.
then-
I was like, how did you get in it and
No,
then
I-
jump out again?
No, I didn't even move the Rhino. I just like moved them, and then I moved them out, and I was like,
I think you cheated.
no.
You
How
can't
did you
embark
jump in
and then
the Rhino?
disembark.
I embarked in one turn, left them there for your turn, and then in my next turn.
That's not what you were saying.
Okay, yeah,
That is not what you
That
said.
is
no.
not what you said
Guys,
at all.
it's been such a long turn.
Anyways,
but I didn't.
it's been such a long turn. This entire day has been a turn. This is what we've been reduced to, people.
Oh my god!
So I just want to tell a brief funny anecdote here. My best friend, Matt, he lives out in BC. He was the one I started playing Warhammer with. We've been just keeping back and forth, talking with 8th edition, and he's played a couple games before me. And today, I messaged him and I'm like, I got this really great tactic that I'm going to use in my games. I'm going to deep strike in. I'm going to cast a psychic power. It lets me move, and then I'm going to shoot, and then I'm going to assault with it. And he was like, yeah, but then you deep strike in and you finish your movement phase, and then the other person gets to move away from you. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, you do your movement phase, then your opponent does their movement phase, then you do your shooting phase, then they do their shooting phase. And I was like, that's not how it works, Matt. And he's like, yeah, I mean, that's what the fight phase is. I'm like, oh, no. So he's played half a dozen games, alternating phases. He said he loved it.
Yeah, like it
But
sounds
you
like
played
a
it
real,
totally wrong. That's amazing.
it sounds like a really cool game.
But he's like,
that he
Eldar
made.
is so powerful, I can't catch them with my Space Wolves. Because I move up and then they just fly away.
Oh, no.
And I'm glad I caught it because he was about to go into an event like next
poor
week. So can you imagine going to an event and being like, no, it's my movement phase, and the guy just being like,
What are you even talking about?
What game are you playing?
You're welcome, Matt.
Yeah. Matt, if you're listening, I'm going to borrow a phrase from Raph. Get good. Like, dude.
It's funny because it comes from Raph.
I know.
So that's that's
kid.
my little aside there about the game. Read the rules.
Yep, read them. Watch a battle report. Like if you're new, watch
One of our battle reports.
Yeah, watch an Encounter Wargaming battle report.
So one thing that was really cool and moving that you really have to think ahead to get this done is the fallback move.
You know,
Yes.
I think fallback is really cool, but let's talk about how many times did you roll difficult terrain today? None.
I told Adam to roll it once.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a sadist.
Adam didn't believe him.
But yeah, there's no difficult terrain.
And it makes sense. That's why you have infantry.
Yep.
Yeah,
'Cause
they
they
just run through it.
They just run through it.
They're not like little chumps going
No.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
fell over this twig.
Yeah, you've got battle tanks in the 40th millennium.
Yep.
They can run over a fence without throwing
Yeah,
a track.
like, boys, we figured out bushes by now.
Yeah.
Paul's especially happy about this because his last 30k game, he mobilized his Land Raider and a Rhino on the very first turn.
Oh, that's
And
right.
it cost him the whole game.
That's not even like the first. Like, Nick can attest to this. I've done that on the regular.
Yeah.
Like,
Because you never pay for dozer blades.
No, because I'm like, whatever.
5 points, not worth it.
1 in 6 chance? That's like 5%.
16.
Yeah, well, that's the joke, right?
Yeah, you're not good at math. You have an English degree. Right?
Yeah. English sociology. Double major.
So
movement phase.
falling back, great. I got a great little combo off on you the last turn.
Yeah, like, and it really highlighted how cool fly can be.
Yeah.
How fly can be.
How fly can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like my Helldrake fell back, my Noise Marines fell back, and then I charged his unit with a Rhino. And then the next turn my Rhino fell back and I just opened up on him.
So this is getting into the fight subphase, but I do feel like vehicles should be able to disembark from vehicle combat with no penalty, because it is dumb to have like 2 rhinos just
Stuck there.
just mashing together and one not being like, no.
I know. I was thinking about that when we were playing today. I'm like, are we missing a rule?
Well, just your Land Raider. Like the Rhinos, you don't lose much when you have to get out. You're just losing Storm
I
Bolters.
should have done that.
Yeah.
I should have charged my Rhinos directly at your Land Raider.
I was super worried you were gonna do that. Actually, like the entire game, I was like, I really don't.
Want to fall back from a Rhino with a Land Raider,
Right?
Like you
Like-
should just drive over it. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
like in the order of operations of what vehicle should just eat another vehicle. Like, I feel like a Land Raider is Big Mario, and he gets hit once and becomes a Rhino. Does that make any sense? Am I freaking out?
like the mushroom.
long day for Paul.
Exactly.
Like the mushroom.
But still, like he gets twice as many attacks as Rhino, but you're still only hitting on 6s.
Yeah.
Right?
Like it's like getting twice as many rotten oranges. It's like, what do I do with these?
But I quite like the simplicity of the movement phase. I don't think it took any time up in our games. There was no dice rolling. It was just like 6/6. The fact that the movement values are there on the profile
Yep.
makes it super simple.
cool.
Advancing
It made
during the movement phase made it great. The problem is now we're doing battle reports, and you're like, this unit advanced. No, it didn't. It
Yeah.
just moved.
it
Didn't roll in
Didn't
advance.
they just call it run still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, like, now it's like saying that your tank is running, which is silly. Like
That's true.
It's not
Yeah.
Fred Flintstoning where the dudes like lift it up and they run.
Well, orcs might.
Well, orcs, come on. But yeah, like I get why they had to change it, but like advance is just a word for things going to
Forward.
the like
Forward.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just semantics.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
It was very cool having to just combine it with your move. But I also love that certain things that used to only be able to move 6 can move 7 or 8 or whatever.
Contemptors move 9 before they
Right?
yeah.
And I think this ties into this as well, is when you're running a Land Raider. Like, I got Paul's Land Raider down to 1 wound towards the end of the game, and it was like, I have 3 edges.
I know.
Yes.
So that's a fun little thing, right? Like, it's just like, okay, well,
And like picture this thing like black smoke belching out of
Yeah.
like giant rends in the armor, and it's just like I still got it, dudes. Still doing it. And like your threat range isn't diminished that much,
no.
though you're hitting on 5s.
Yeah, when I got you down to 1 wound, you were hitting on 5s. You still did some damage with it, but
Yeah, when you got 4 last cannons and 6 heavy bolter shots, you're gonna still get some hits.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and now that brings us right to shooting.
we missed a phase.
Segway.
No, we missed a phase in our episode plan.
Oh yeah, here's
We
psychic.
totally did.
Here's psychic. PSY
C
C
H
H.
IP.
Z.
No,
And-
Psypip.
And put the number 6 in there.
Number 6. Okay, you know what? We're trying real hard today, guys.
I like the psychic phase.
I like it too.
Loved
Yeah.
it. It was super easy. Deny the witch. Fun.
Yep.
Does it quickly. Psychic defense. Even I liked yours. I know it didn't come up because
So-
I rolled well on my psychic tests.
Yeah, I like that I get it to do it. So, and this is just a faction focus for fast forward for you. The Sisters of Battle can deny the witch, but they only get 1 dice for it.
But any unit can.
Any unit that has
Which
this
means
rule,
you get
yeah.
multiple attempts. Right? Because usually a psyker can only deny 1 psychic psychic power a turn. If
So
you have
all of my units can try on a single power.
Yep.
No. What I mean is if
Yeah.
if I cast
Yeah.
1 power, 1 unit can try it. If I
Yes.
cast a second power, another unit can try
Yeah,
it.
which is better than what it used to be because my unit could only do it if you targeted them.
Right.
So now I can get rid of your buffs to your units.
Yeah. So now it's you can deny if you have a friendly psyker, your psyker, within 24 inches of the enemy psyker. Mm-hmm. And it's simply so psychic powers now are 2d6. This is where command points came in, and when this came in our first game, Adam. You rolled those 2d6. I failed, and then I was like, "Oh, I failed this. This is gonna like really hurt me."
And we moved on and did some other things, and then I was like, "Oh, hey, Nick, just so you know."
Yeah. When I perils, that's when I should have command pointed, because I would not have given you Slay the Warlord, Nick.
It's true. It's very true, actually.
But I didn't.
What a good use of command points.
Yeah, I don't know why. Oh, you were out.
Yeah, I was out of them. But
You were out of command points at that
But
point.
it is like a really good tactical use of your command points.
Yeah. So some of the we'll get into this in the faction focus, but smite. Oh,
So good.
Oh man,
everybody has smite.
Dude.
Mortal wounds. Oh my god.
dude! First game, first power I cast, I think, was smite. Rolled a 10 and just headbanged 6 orcs. It was just like, is this what psychers do now?
Yeah.
Is this what it's always going to be like? I love this game.
And that was orcs. Imagine if you had got that off on like a squad. I don't even know, like a squad of Centurions or a
Yeah.
squad of
Terminators?
Terminators. That'd be
That's 3
3 dead
Terminators.
Terminators.
yeah, just like pop, 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 pop. Hilarious.
Yep. Great.
Yeah.
The faction specific psychic powers also really good. We'll get into that when we talk about factions. But
Yeah.
loved the chaos ones. There was one I didn't use, and I love the Space Marine ones that you were using as
Yeah.
well. It was fun.
Yeah.
There's no invisibility.
Well, actually, we'll
Yay.
get it. I could talk about this because we're in psychic. Actually, no. Well, we'll wait till the focus.
Save it for the faction focus?
Yeah.
So let's move on to
Shooting. Shoot. Why do people say shoosting? Because I've noticed that we did it in Newfoundland, we do it in Ontario, I assume Quebec.
Because wargamers are silly.
Okay. Yeah, moving on.
Silly awesome.
moving on.
Adam, you got any highlights from shooting you want to?
Yes. So one thing, I mean, I noticed this about other people's armies, but, you know, it's just like, I roll lots of dice. That's awesome. But yeah, heavy weapons, I mean, you hear about it. Like, a lot of these things, we've talked about them in the past, but now we've experienced it, and we have all been realizing how much fun things are. And so, moving and being able to shoot heavy weapons with only a -1 penalty, awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like, how often have you... And I keep coming back to tactical squads, but how often have you moved a tactical squad and you're like, I guess I'll fire with this last cannon that moved, and it just kind of farts, and you're just like, oh, whatever. Yeah. But like today, I was like murking stuff with a multi-multi, just like I don't give a heck.
Yeah. Just gonna run around.
Yep.
Right. This is the era of GW saying yes.
Yeah.
To everything.
D6 damage. I mean, it used to be like a las cannon could blow up a Land Raider in one hit,
and very frequently
and
it would happen, and you just hated your life.
Yeah, but and like my las cannons, both games. They were the MVPs. My Havocs, 4 las cannons, just murdered everything they could see. Even when I had one las cannon left by himself, he was just like, Contemptor, dead. Land Raider, dead.
Yeah, like he was still putting in hard work.
Yeah.
And the idea of like 5 las cannons or 4 las cannons in a squad.
Yeah.
That is horrifying.
Yeah, your Land Raider. If I hadn't, that's like another reason why I wanted to shut it down. I knew I wouldn't be able to kill it.
Yeah.
But if I had just shut it down, forced you to fall back from combat, that's 4 las cannons that aren't shooting.
Yep.
And that's a lot of damage.
Now, my las cannons were just whiffing all game, but I recognize that they could have been great.
I don't think I rolled lower than a 4 on the D6 for the damage for any of my las cannon shots. It killed Celestine, murdered Exorcists, murdered the Penitent Engines. Yeah.
Celestine failed herself, to be fair, but we'll talk about that later. So Havoc units, Devastator units, they're actually back now because, this actually affected you. You deployed them out of line of sight.
Yeah.
And then you moved and put them in line of sight, and we're like, I don't care, Skippy, because I don't hit on 6s, I hit on 4s.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's good, right?
Oh, yeah, no, it's fantastic. That was...
Split fire. Did anybody split fire today?
I did. I was split firing my Noise Marines all the time.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I was split firing the Land Raider a lot, just because I'm really used to that.
Is that a Machine Spirit thing, or is that a tank
Machine
thing?
Spirit lets you move and receive no minuses to your ballistic skill for heavy weapons.
I really like that because my Exorcist, I was like, I don't want to move. Which is
Adam, you rolled 5 1s on 6 dice that one turn when you moved.
Yeah, when my wife was watching. And she was like, did you really just roll 5 1s?
She's like, I don't understand this game. So Adam moved his Exorcist. He's like, I'm going to be -1 to hit. Oh, I rolled 6 shots. And you rolled 5 1s and a 4.
Wait, is that why you're out with us tonight recording this? Because you can't come home?
Yeah, she was like, you're not allowed to come home.
Yeah, you sleep on the couch tonight. Roll 5 1s. Piece of crap.
Cover was interesting. Cover and power armor?
So good.
Oh, yeah.
That's silly.
When it's like, that squad has a 2-up save.
Well, here's the nice thing I like about cover, is that you can still root it out with high-powered weapons.
Yes.
Like it's...
You're punching through a wall.
Like
a las cannon will go through a door.
But here's the thing that I really...
As it should.
Yeah.
Really enjoy about it, is that they added nuance, and they added a lot of flexibility to heavy weapons without slowing down the game at all.
Yeah.
I thought that we were going to be all jacked up on math, but it was just -1, but I'm -2, you get +1, blah 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 blah, and it kind of gives life back to a lot of those heavy weapons or plasma. Plasma's now really good. It was never bad, but it's really good versus cover.
Yeah, because no one's getting a 2-up cover save.
Yeah, because
even if you have a 2-up cover save,
you now have a 4-up cover save, 3-up.
So here's one thing that I noticed about all this math issue.
4-up.
Yeah, 4-up.
No.
This is the exact problem that we're having right now.
-2.
I think
+1.
-2. So that's -1.
That's a plus sign.
So,
guys.
So this is the one problem with the adding and subtracting is I think we're going to need to come up with a common language around it, but how we communicate it, because oftentimes it was like somebody would just say have done the math in their head and been like, oh, you get -1 AP, but you're like, but my weapon's -3 AP, and someone but yeah, when you do this and this
Yeah,
and this
yeah,
together, and then it's like,
that's very true.
so if we, like, I don't know what it's going to be, and maybe it's everybody just says what their thing is. So it's like, my save is 2 up, as opposed to saying, somebody pre-doing the math and being like, you're minus 1
but
AP.
again, when you put the responsibility in the hands of the other player, you end up like my game with Paul, where he's like, oh yeah, remember that unit you shot at a couple minutes ago? That unit had +1 toughness.
So
Yeah.
so that's different, right? So you ask what someone's stat is, they should remember that. And that's actually the exact point I'm making is, I should ask you, what's your armor save?
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, what's my AP, and asking you, because you shouldn't know what my AP is. I should.
That's and that's a good point, because what happened is I was hearing, and this isn't like a criticism, but you would be like 4 wounds. I'd be like, cool. And then like would take the saves, and then it would just be like, did you account for the +1 toughness that I told you about in my turn? And you were like, no. And but honestly, it's
We had to go back on the video.
Yeah, like the onus kind of is on me to remind you of that when they're being shot.
Yeah. It's there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah. And everyone's all jacked up on fucking... Oh, sorry.
7th edition.
Can we... Get,
8th edition, Adam.
can we get the timestamp for when I did that if you need it? Yeah.
What are the 9 things you can't say on television? No. Shooting's fun.
Yep.
It was fast. It was simple. That did not slow down the game at all. The multiple damage, fantastic. One thing I think this is just something that Jay was assuming. If you have, but you guys like give us a shout out and let us know if you find it in the rule book. Yeah. If you have multiple weapons in a squad that have a variable shot, so if you have, my example was I have 2 Blastmasters in each of my Noise Marine squads. Blastmasters have a D3 shots profile. Are you rolling once for both weapons, or are you rolling 2 D3 for the shots as the unit? Mm-hmm. Now, some units, like Luda's for orcs, it says like you are rolling D3 shots and you're playing it to the unit. Actually, I don't know if it says that.
That's a 7th edition reference.
It's a 7th edition reference. I don't know what it says in 8th edition.
Yeah. And
I don't want to see anybody rolling 8 D3s.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
right, that could be annoying.
That would be very annoying.
It would be stupid annoying.
That's what you used to have to do if someone charged your Burner Boys.
Right, and like that's 1, annoying, 2, rife for misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. Which I feel like in a rule set you want to just be able to pull stuff like that out, and it affects big units. Well, actually, it affects smaller units with those things a little bit more.
Oh, for sure.
Because like on like 10 models, it's gonna average. Yeah, it's gonna average out. But on like 1 or 2, on like 2 or 3.
So this is the thing. If you roll it once for the whole unit, it averages out over games played, not that turn, right?
Yeah. Right.
So if you roll all those dice, it'll average inside that one time.
Right.
But if you have to roll it once for the whole unit, it averages out over a much longer period of time. So it depends. It's really like... So we looked through the rules. We couldn't find anything that said it. Not in the fast dice note section either, which isn't like legit rules. It's just like recommendations.
Well, the fast dice rules section is something to keep in mind as well, because it really comes into play when you're dealing with multiple damage. And keep this in mind whenever you're playing. The rules always assume that you're rolling dice one at a time.
Yep.
They're built for that. They're not built for rolling multiple dice. Because, again, Matt, who I was talking about earlier, he brought up an interesting point. When you're dealing with multiple damage, it also doesn't make sense. If you're not thinking of it as the dice are being rolled one at a time.
Well, me and Jay ran into this in our game, where he failed a save, and I rolled my D3 for my Power Fist wounds.
Yeah.
And we just had to, like, kind of go back and be like, well, actually, this... second dice of the 3 I rolled, I rolled a 3, but only 1 wound killed a guy.
Yeah.
Those other 2 are lost.
Yes.
And I actually don't mind. I think that from a cinematic point of view, and that's what I keep coming back to, is if you crush a guy's head, it doesn't hurt the guy next to him's head.
No.
No. That part of it makes total sense.
Yeah. But the idea that it's happening one at a time is really slow.
Yeah, it came up in our game. This is Adam versus Nick. And we figured it out pretty quickly. Like, we talked it out, we looked at the rules, and got it down.
Yeah, couldn't find any reference to it.
And then we were done our game pretty quick, and I was standing around watching Paul and Jason, and they were having this exact same issue, and they were having a hard time figuring it out. And so I just kind of stepped in, was like, first roll, second roll, third roll. At least you knew which one was first, second, and third.
Yeah, because I did them deliberately because I assumed.
Oh, you did one at a time.
Yeah, because I assumed that that's the way that it was going to go.
That, That's the only way you can do damage.
Yeah, because otherwise it's way too powerful.
And so, just so you guys know, it's Terminators versus Killicans.
Yeah,
this is the situation we're talking about. There's 6 Killicans there, 5
Yeah.
Terminators. Paul's rolling D3 damage for each Power Fist.
Right.
And the first 2 kill the Killican, and Jay was wondering about the last one. Does it kill that last dude?
And put another wound. And, like...
I think it might be like the controller player. So let's, for an example, if I do 3 wounds with a Power Fist on 3 models that each have 2 wounds, and I roll a 1, and a 2, I think it's the controlling player's decision what models those wounds go on. So you can be like, the 1 wound goes on this guy, then the 2 wounds go on the same guy, so he's dead. Then the 1 wound goes on the last guy. He only has 1 wound.
If you do a fast dice and roll them all at the same time, but you should have the dude take all the armor saves, and then you go first 1 damage, assign it, second 1 damage, assign it, third 1 damage, assign it, right?
Yeah, because it is assuming the dice are all rolling at the same time. But if you want to do again, this is a conversation you have to have with your opponent.
Yeah,
make sure this stuff is out in the open at the beginning of the game because it can get...
Honestly, at tournaments, I'm definitely going to be doing 1 at a time, so there's no confusion. And the thing is, like, yeah, it might suck for the guy whose turn it is, but then my turn's going to roll around.
And same thing.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth.
I did
It was
not...
fun shooting.
We are. I honestly, last point for shooting, I did not mind the removal of templates.
Yeah. This morning, I took them out of my bag, and I, like, had a little, like, all right, guys, and I had a drink with them. I realized it was, like, 11.
Put them 6 feet under.
Yeah, I buried them. And
We need them for Horse Heresy.
Yeah, I dug them up.
So don't throw them out. And you got quad mortar, so you really need them.
Yeah, I need more. Like, so if you have templates, just give me your templates.
But you, Adam, your Seraphim got a lot of hits off. They didn't do anything because I had a 2-up cover save. Flamers don't ignore cover now. Keep that in mind as well. You did something like 16 wounds with 4 Flamers.
16 hits, yeah.
But they auto hit.
Yeah.
But that's...
It would have
4
been...
Flamers?
So
it would have been 20.
Here's the difference.
It would have been 20.
It would have been 20.
Yes.
Yeah. So everyone's all like getting really excited about how flamers work. They're only better against single models than they were before.
Yes.
Against infantry, they're worse.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I'm going to replace some of the heavy flamers on my list. Because I was like really unimpressed with how they functioned.
Yeah. Welcome to my life with Exorcist, rolling D6 shots for all of them.
Yeah.
Everyone feels my pain.
Like, just now that we're doing like so many D3, D6, just like, guys, just make it D3 plus 3. Like,
Well, when they have the thing where it's like
2d3.
for like the large blast templates for guard, remember how we talked about they do more against certain size units?
Yeah.
Flamers should do more against infantry units than
I
they do
agree.
single models or tanks.
Yep.
They just should.
Yep. I agree with that. But yeah, I'm definitely going to like swap out that Cataphracti heavy flamer just because it's like,
Give it a Reaper autocannon.
Wait, heck?
You can't.
No, but I can give it a combi bolter because at double tap range, each dude's firing 4 shots.
Yeah.
Heavy lols.
I love my Blastmasters still. They were doing really well against you in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were doing good.
They just had to make them good still.
Yeah.
Why?
I was rolling well.
You were.
I was getting like 6 shots. I mean, they don't wipe out an entire unit in a round of shooting like they used to.
Nor should they. Come on.
Like in 7th edition, there were times like the way Paul's Sternguard were placed in the last game, if I had fired my Blastmasters at them, that entire squad would have been gone.
Yeah.
Just gone.
And how many times
With him not rolling a single dice.
How many times did you roll a 1 or 2 with your Baleflamer this game? And wish that you could have laid your template and killed
I
Marines
used a command point once.
Yeah.
To re-roll that, which is fun.
Fire! I command you to burn hotter.
So shooting, fun,
good. Lots of dice get rolled. We like dice.
fight. No, charge.
So it's not
charge.
2 phases, guys. Yeah.
Charge phase.
Yeah. Let's be clear on our notes here.
Fight phase.
Yeah. Fight phase. It's all assault.
I think charge phase. I think one of the biggest things that's changed is that when Overwatch happens, it can be done against multiple units on the condition that the first unit doesn't make its charge. I think the only time that happened was against you today.
Well, I was heavily debating whether I should use a command point to reroll my charge because I knew the condition was if I get a 6, I make it.
Oh, you did roll that 6,
and I did roll that 6 eventually. But I was
wish you had
really,
that command point to resurrect Celestine when she died.
No, I was really happy that I made that charge.
Yeah, and like it's cool because it stops long bomb charges from just eating Overwatch. Like,
Yeah.
you can't be beardy like that anymore.
Well, in like single models, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool. Charge phase is easy. It's just a unit within 12 inches.
Yep.
Charges 2d6. The only time it's reduced is when you're charging through cover.
Yeah,
Ruins specifically. And you only have to end up within an inch.
Mm-hmm.
So watch those measurements very carefully because those half inches really matter now. Because if you're 8.5 inches away, you only need to make an 8-inch charge. You don't need to make the full 9.
Right.
Which really comes down to it.
Yeah. Big
Yeah,
deal.
and it, like, I know that we keep saying that it is a game of inches, not half inches.
And cubes.
And cubes. Oh, he said the name of the podcast.
Well, in our, it was good because in the last bat rep that was posted on Encounter Wargaming was our first campaign game, and that's where you said the name of the podcast for the first time.
There you go. That's a little
During that game?
Yeah, during that game.
Is that my super salty game?
I think no, it was the first game, so you weren't super salty.
Okay,
yet.
second game.
I
Oh,
think
guys,
it was it was at the end, and that's how we ended the battle report.
Oh, jeez.
There you go.
Paul was
nostalgia
it's just
moment.
a game of inches and cubes, and I was like, yes, he said the name of that podcast.
So here's my here's one thing that we kind of ran into and we had to pour over the rules for a second was when a single model is charging.
Yes.
This came up with you and me, Nick.
Yeah.
If you want to engage more than one unit, you can, but you have to declare that.
Yep.
Because then both of those units get to Overwatch.
Because you do have to move as close as possible to the enemy unit. So you had a squad of Battle Sisters next to an Exorcist. I had to move as close. I didn't declare that I was charging the Exorcist. If I had declared that, I could have moved and been in base contact with both. But I only declared that I was charging the Battle Sisters.
Well,
means,
we went back and I let you do both. But.
Yeah.
Right, but I would have. What would have happened is if I didn't want to charge the Exorcist, I would say I'm only charging the Battle Sisters, and I have to end my charge move outside of 1 inch of all enemy models that I was not declaring a charge against.
Yeah.
So it was a tight corridor.
Yep.
So you could have. I think you could have still fit, right?
I definitely could have.
You definitely could have. If it was a tighter corridor, maybe not, and so that makes you make life choices about how much Overwatch you want to take.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can. There's this like little finicky thing, and this is where it's going to get kind of gamey, where you like make your charge. You're at exactly 1 inch away from a unit, and then in your pile-in phase, it's like you can pile in 3 inches as long as you're closer to the closest enemy model.
It doesn't say the shortest distance.
Yeah.
It says closer. So
closer.
One of the biggest examples is when Adam, he charged a Rhino of mine, and there were Noise Marines nearby. Celestine was 2 inches away from the Rhino. Mm-hmm. Your Gemini made it in base contact. Mm-hmm. And you moved Celestine 3 inches in base contact with the Rhino. Mm-hmm. But it also brought you within 1 inch of the Noise Marines, who were probably 3.5 inches away from you at the beginning of that phase. Mm-hmm. Right? So you were like, well, I'm closer to the Rhino than I started. I also happen to be engaged with the Noise Marines.
Yeah.
So, sneaky shit.
So do you accidentally now are in combat with those people?
He did that on purpose.
Okay.
I did. Oh yeah, it was not an accident.
He murdered the Noise Marines.
But like,
But the Noise Marines
situations
got to shoot.
can situations exist where you get into combat with
If you end
as a
the
byproduct
charge,
of doing the pylon, yes.
yes.
Okay.
If you just accidentally move within 1 inch, that unit's now engaged.
During the pylon move specifically,
Which is we're now in the fight sub phase.
Yeah.
yeah. because you can't do it. There's another part, like subsection of fighting called consolidate, which you can't end within 1 inch, but you can in the pile-in part of it.
So I can declare a charge against one unit, and then in the pile-in, drag in a different unit.
Yes.
Which saves you from getting overwatched by 2 units, but allows you to still make combat with 2 units.
Right.
Dope.
But you have to end your consolidate move closer than you started to an enemy model.
Okay.
Of the unit that you charge.
Yeah, okay.
So you start, like, if they have to be really close, right? And I would do a diagram if we were on video, but here, I'll do a diagram for these guys. So we have these 2 units.
You clumped your units together.
I charge in on this one. I'm in exactly an inch away.
So just so you guys can imagine this at home, there are 2 beer cans being charged by a Samsung.
One of them is empty.
It's actually a Motorola.
They're both empty.
Get out of here, peasant.
And so I'm exactly 1 inch away from this unit. I take my pile-in move, and I go 3 inches. I touch base with this unit, so I'm closer to it.
And you're
but
1
now I'm
inch.
an inch away from that one.
Yeah, so
and I
now-
can fight either one.
It's
Cool.
sneaky.
It is sneaky. I like sneaky.
It is sneaky. It's good because your opponent can also do it to you when it's their pile-in move.
Yep. Yep.
If you have somebody a little bit too close, and it's if you get charged and somehow survive, also surviving charges, not easy. Not when they go first. But you can pile in and drag something else into combat too. So it's not just the attacking player's turn, which is something I've noticed in 8th. You play a lot more. You get to react more.
Well, like, this moves right into the fight sub phase. Like, when you're activating units, that can get kind of, like, hairy.
Oh, there were some times where, like, Adam, I think this happened when I saw you and Jay doing this too. Adam charged 3 units, or I charged 3 units, and then you're like, oh, that unit fought. It's my turn now. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
The other charging units get to go first. And you're like, well, this sucks.
Yeah. And, yeah, it does until it's your turn, and you get to go first.
Yeah. Did anybody use the counter-assault stratagem today?
No.
I did not.
You did. It didn't do anything.
No.
I thought I heard you say it.
You did it.
When you were
did
playing
it.
Jay.
Yeah.
Because we went to eat pizza.
Oh, yes,
and then we
I
were
did.
eating pizza,
I did.
and you were like, when we get back downstairs, I'm going to counter-assault.
Yeah. Yeah. I did. And it was just because he would have activated his killer cans and wiped out all of my Terminators.
Yeah.
And it was turn 4.
Yeah, and you did 1 wound.
Yeah.
Which is better than nothing.
Right. And, it just made the most sense, and we also wanted to try out command points because, it's the first game.
I think you and I, in all our games, we only did the reroll. There was never an instance where auto-passing morale was, like, super important.
No, and I feel like with Marines of any stripe, you're not going...
Except for Chaos.
Yeah, except for Chaos. But you know what? All your troops are way better than our troops. So, like...
Yes, they should be. They're more expensive.
No, they're more expensive, and they're older dudes.
Yeah. So the fight sub-phase is basically charging units fight first, and then the player whose turn it is, remember, turn refers to a player turn, round refers to a game turn, chooses first, and then you alternate back and forth. And it gets really... You have to think about it.
Yeah, it can get really... really hairy, and it does like kind of take the wind out of your sails with the like if it's not your turn and you're being assaulted, you're just kind of like, oh well, I'll wait around.
Yep.
But then that's fine because your turn rolls around and now you're smashing face a little bit more.
Hopefully. Yeah. Like Guard will have trouble with it because they don't have a lot of combat units, and
That's true.
Tau will
But
Tau
Guard
has
have
cool
that order where you can fall back
And
give
still
them
shoot
an
and all
order
that.
and then still shoot, which is brutal.
Amazing.
We have the end phase written down there. I don't think that exists.
Yeah, well, no, because then at the end of all this stuff, it ends. But
The end of the episode?
no,
That's
no,
the turn?
No. It's now we're rolling morale at the end of the phase.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
so
true.
what you should have written was morale.
Yeah, well,
Well, it's not called morale. It's called battle shock.
yeah, but now I'm telling you guys.
Is it called
we're
battle
called
shock?
morale.
Is it called morale?
Battle shock is
Is
Age
the
of Sigmar.
thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Well, point is, I wrote it down so I remembered not to not miss it.
I only
The
lost.
thing that's
What?
no name for the other thing.
Yeah.
I only lost 1 model to battle shock the entire game.
But the thing,
Both games today.
Yeah, and like I lost a couple in my game against Jay, but the thing I like about it is that it happens at the end of the turn.
And it's cumulative for if you lose a unit during
Psychic shooting
combat.
Yep.
It all adds up.
So it just feels more forgiving in the turn. More forgiving in the phases, but way more brutal at the end of the turn.
Yeah, I really do miss sonic weapons pinning people.
Get out of here.
Yeah, how great is it that no units ran off the board first turn?
Oh my god, man,
Right?
This is what I'm saying. Like, just having a couple of units.
You're like leadership 10 unit that just freak chance rolled the 11, and you're like, what? I hate my life. This game's over.
Yeah, and like, I really enjoyed just like having one or two guys die as opposed to like, oh, we fell off. We were like a shooting unit, so we were
Way
close
better.
to your board edge.
Way better.
Yeah, it's a much better mechanic. It's a much as a player that apparently freaks out if you look at any of these battle reports. I'm less apt to be like, what? No, ah! So now I'm in.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So that's our opinions on the phases.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about
Faction focus.
No, I go. Nick, would you like to go?
Yes, thank you, Paul, for giving me the floor. I have the conch. I'm going to talk. So we're going to do a little bit of faction focus. We're going to talk about some of the fun rules, some of the great things about our specific faction. So I play Emperor's Children focused Chaos Space Marines. I love them. In the game against Adam, there's a new rule called Death to the False Emperor. And basically, any to hit rolls in the fight subphase of 6 generate extra attacks. You still have to roll to hit with them, but it's awesome. The best part is when you are Slaanesh and you have an icon of excess, that happens on a 5 or a 6. So there were a couple fight subphases where I had like one guy with a power sword in combat, and I just rolled 3 5s, and I was like, oh man, that's 3 additional attacks, and just murdered an entire squad of dudes. Well,
especially when
sometimes.
dudes is like a non-gender
neutral.
Yeah, it's a gender neutral term.
It's fair. English evolves.
When power swords are so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
I love
so
power
much better.
swords.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like the power swords that I all my squad sergeants have them. I like them.
Yep.
And so your guys had 2 attacks each, which is amazing.
3
Noise
attacks.
Marines.
Noise Marines have 2 attacks each. They are hitting on 3s. 5s generate extra attacks, and the best part is when Noise Marines die in the shooting phase, in the psychic phase, in the fight sub phase, in any phase, they automatically get to do a full shooting attack at full ballistic skill into any unit, including the unit they're in combat with.
That's the part that like irks me the most. That it can be the unit that they're in combat with.
As if it's a shooting attack, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh, I'm standing a foot in front of you, fist fighting you.
Yeah.
I will all of a sudden just shoot you with my giant gun as opposed to continue to fist fight you.
Yeah, like why? I just wish they changed that rule to like if it's an assault, they get to make their attacks.
I get over it. So it
I'll build a bridge.
So in my game against Paul's librarian cast smite at a unit of Noise Marines. I think you killed 2 of them.
Yep.
And then I was like, it's the end of the game. I'm going to take 2 Blastmasters out, and now they're going to shoot at you.
Your
and
warlord is one wound.
killed his warlord.
Yep. That was like such an ignominious death for a warlord. But
And even in the game against you, Adam, I remember like Celestine charged into the squad of Noise Marines, butchered them, and the Noise Marines just murdered the Seraphim squad that wasn't even in combat.
They tried to get the Seraphim squad. They didn't do so good with that,
I
but you
killed
did
3
kill
of
the
them.
last Penitent Engine with that once.
Oh,
which
I did.
was nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was able to knock a few wounds off Penitent Engine and a couple other things, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Again, I said this before, Las Cannon Havocs, great. And
good.
then the Chaos Psychic powers. Oh, so I was just looking through rules and I realized that Terminator's deep strike at 9 inches. So I took a squad of Terminators. I took a Chaos Sorcerer in Terminator armor. There is a Psychic power. You pick your Psychic powers now, by the way. That you can,
which There's no downside to
There's no
picking them.
downside.
It blew Paul's mind.
It's just like
His brain exploded.
it's the stupidest thing to like put in rules. Like you can generate them on a D3, or you
Pick
can
them.
pick them.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why the?
Well, I think if you're that undecided, then you can roll.
Yeah, but you
maybe-
can put any decision in your life to a D3. Like,
Yeah. So
What beer should I get?
the
Am I going to
Chaos
school
psychic
today?
power? Sorry, the Heretic Astartes psychic power is warp time. That's the good one. Prescience is pretty good too. So it's basically any unit within 3 inches of the psyker can just make a free movement. So you basically come down at the end of the movement phase, psychic phase, move up 5 with Terminators, unload with your combat meltas, and now you're just 4 inches away from whatever you want to kill.
yeah, you can't see me roll my eyes, but that's some Eldar shenanigans right there.
You haven't played Eldar yet? I've heard they're worse.
Oh god, that's some Eldar light shenanigans right there.
Yeah, as far as Chaos goes, I had a really strong army. I just built the army around what I had painted and what I usually do, and I usually anchor all of my lists, 30k and 40k, around 2 squads of 10 Noise Marines, and I can't complain. Putting out 21 shots with a unit of 10 guys, and then 2 D3 shots with Blastmasters, and then 1 D3 shot with a Doom Siren, and then charging something? Yes, please. All the time.
I have to say, maybe it's because we usually play 1850, but at 1500 points, I felt a little squeezed. Like, I felt,
Me too.
yeah, like, I felt like getting a Land Raider that's working out to be like, what, 365 points?
Well, we both only had basically 6 units
Yeah.
each.
But the question I ask is, how fun were your games?
Super fun.
Super fun.
Yeah. So
Like-
sometimes I used to play 1,000 points in 3rd and 4th edition. Mm-hmm.
So
kind of
that's-
as a standard, and 1,500 is like tournament.
Yeah,
size.
so 1,000
Yeah.
points is like, what, a Captain, 2 Tacticals, a Rhino, and a Dreadnought?
No, a little bit more than that. But 1,000-point games were really fun.
Yeah,
and I
'cause-
feel like you can't just have like all those redundancies that you want to make your army really safe, right? So you got to take risks. You got to get out there. You got to do some stuff.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, from the tournament point of view, especially for what we're organizing with the club, 1,500 might be the like, really fun entry-level one.
Yeah,
You
fun
know?
entry level. That's the key. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where,
Because I had some toys.
yeah, but you didn't have enough toys that your toys could kill all of my toys.
Well, that happened anyways.
Yeah, but, like... no, but what I'm saying is, like,
He still won the game. Remember that.
yeah.
It doesn't. All his toys were dead.
Yeah, but my Rhino and my one Terminator were, like, running around.
I'm aware of what happened.
Oh, yeah?
I was there.
So faction focus chaos.
Faction Focus Chaos. They're good.
Thank you, Dad.
Not having a notional no fear definitely hurts. But Chaos, you're never really taking big units anyway, so you're not really going to lose more than 1 or 2 models per morale phase.
Yeah, you don't lose a lot of models all at once unless something goes catastrophic. Like,
Catastrophically.
thank you. Wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, why worry about that, like, a whole lot?
And the other big MVP for me, which didn't die in both games, was the Helldrake.
Yeah.
Because it just got up in your face. It against Adam, it just got me first blood and then started tying up units. It was awesome.
And it's MVP in a different way than it was
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, because it was not killing things.
Yeah.
On like just that squad's dead, that squad's dead, that squad's dead. It was more like that squad can't do anything for a turn because you're in combat with a giant monster that every turn regenerates a wound.
Yeah, then it flies away and can shoot.
I see it as like in Lord of the Rings, the
Nazgul.
Nazgul on the flying
Yeah.
things that just like
Yeah.
flying through Minas Tirith, grabbing dudes off of the ramparts and just like throwing them onto the ground from 100 feet in the air.
Yeah, where it's like, it didn't kill that entire guy's formation, but like...
And like causing terror and like one or two
one thing
guys
to
here and
note, and this didn't come into effect because you're the only one who had a unit that had the fly keyword, but Helldrakes add +1 to hit, which means they're hitting on 2s against any unit with a fly keyword.
there. Interesting.
Ooh, rude.
Yeah, so they can be really good against another flyer.
In combat or in shooting or
combat.
both?
Combat.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the rules for their melee weapons.
Got
It's
it.
add +1 to hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
That's a cool... Like, I love stuff like that.
yeah.
Like,
I actually feel like Thinking back to all the artwork that I've seen in all the books over the ages, like, you always see jump units in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now I actually feel like they are in the air.
One of my favorite pictures is a squadron of Valkyries coming in, and then just Helldrakes descending on them, and there's a Helldrake like clamped onto a Valkyrie, just breathing into the cockpit, and then like you can just picture it just like releasing it afterwards.
Yeah,
after it just burned
dead
everybody
carcass just
inside.
falling to the ground. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just spiraling
Yep.
on fire. Oh, I love war games.
Yeah. So, Paul, why don't you tell us about the Adeptus Astartes?
You know what? Like, I'll start off and say the psychic powers way more fun than they ever have been.
Yeah.
And I think it may be just a lack of choice. Like, you know, you've got 3, you've got 4, you've got Smite, you've got Might of Heroes. Yeah, not Ancients. I really like Might of Heroes because it is hilarious to make a Land Raider toughness 9.
Yeah.
Like,
It targets any unit
with the
Adeptus Astartes keyword. Yeah, that's great. I had to double check that because I was like,
no, you can't
make his Land Raider toughness 9. Oh, yeah, yes, he can.
My Land Raider's stronger. I juiced my Land Raider. I like that one. I like Veil of Time. Is it Veil of Time? Something.
Yes,
Sure.
yeah.
That one's fine. It allows you to fight first. It allows you to charge and reroll failed charges
And advanced moves.
and advances.
Did you ever use the fight first?
No,
Because that's like really good.
it is really good. I was out of range the
Okay.
one time that it would have came in handy. And then Null Zone, it's a really good one. It stops people from using invulnerable saves. It's got a range of 6 inches.
Oh yeah,
Right?
You got to be in, and your librarian was squishy.
Yeah,
No
and
invulnerable save,
they're
power armor, 4 wounds.
and they're very, very squishy support
Yeah.
characters, which kind of bummed me out a tiny bit because again I started in 3rd edition where every character was just a murder machine.
Yep.
Um,
But there's a great distinction between combat characters and support characters.
yeah, and I think that that distinction has gotten wider in especially for the Space Marines, but definitely overall. Terminators, I said it before, 2 wounds. They shoot 4 when they're close. That's bad. Then they charge. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they show no fear. Huge.
I don't feel like it's as big as it was, though.
It's not as big as it was, but
Because,
it's
like,
still cool.
It's still huge. Like, if you lose... Yeah, if you do that bad thing and you're like...
I got that 6.
I got that 6. I'm losing 3 guys, and it's a squad of Devastators, and there's only 3 guys left with missile launchers.
yeah.
You're re-rolling that. Our games were small. We were using relatively small units.
I'll caveat what Nick says. Basically, what he's saying. That's not even the right word. Basically, what Nick is saying is, I wish I had They Shall Know No Fear.
Yep.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is, in 7th edition, it allowed you to ignore a big failing that most other armies had.
True.
Like, that was something that really made the Space Marines feel unique. And I kind of, especially playing, like, not Ultramarines, I play Imperial Fists, I did feel like I was lacking that flavor, and especially when you're going up against Chaos Marines who still have that, like, Slaaneshi feel or Khorne feel.
Yeah.
And I think that is just a function of we're playing out of indices as opposed to...
Codexes, yeah.
Right.
This is stuff just to hold us over.
Yeah. So I'm not, like, super upset about that. It is just something... like
You have Lysander.
Yeah, I do have Lysander. He's, like, 5 billion points.
Yeah.
So I didn't use him.
Yeah.
And I also, like, prefer using not named characters
Yeah.
in
That's fair.
40k.
That's fair.
Yep. But I don't think there's, like, a lot... Oh! Combi weapons.
Yeah.
I love combi weapons.
And Sternguard Bolters.
Yeah, Sternguard Bolters were a dirty surprise.
Yeah, I do want them to change the wording on it so the combi bolters get the stern guard ammo.
They're different weapons.
They are different weapons,
Yeah.
and I will not argue that
Yeah.
because that is just straight up a fact.
So the question was, it was like Paul fired his plasma guns at me and then tried to fire the bolt gun part as the special issue bolt guns.
Right.
But you have to change your special issue bolter for a combi bolter. You don't get both.
Yeah, I wish you did. It
You
does.
have to pay way more points.
True.
Yeah. Did you pay points for your special issue
I
bolters?
paid points for everything.
Okay.
Yeah. It's there. Look at this. See how this is like in brackets, and then
I
there's
thought you
more.
said that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, but it's they're
Okay.
310 points. All right.
Okay, I know. Like, units get expensive fast.
Yeah, but like, it is so much fun to just like crank out
Yeah.
like 2 plasma shots each, and then 2 bolter shots each.
Yeah.
It's you did it with your combi flamer,
Yes.
which only has 50% the reduction in effectiveness. So yeah, I really was impressed with that. Tactical squads kind of leave me feeling flat. Like just the fact that like you charge in, you get 1 attack per dude.
Yeah, well, maybe...
Don't charge them into stuff.
Or take chain swords?
Yeah, but like for what?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
it's just a shame to like have a tactical squad feel like
So ineffective in combat.
yeah.
Yeah. You need that power fist on your sergeant.
Yeah, but like it's funny because coming from older editions, you didn't need it as much.
Oh yeah, it was terrible before.
Yeah, like I just
He got challenged, could never fight.
yeah, he'd get murked right away. I think I might put that back in. That being said, I liked having the combi Melta on a sergeant because I was just throwing out 3 Melta shots.
Yep.
From-
Split fired if you want.
Yeah, and I did split fire once or twice, I think, or at least thought about it. So, I had the option. Scouts, MVPs. Nick just ran off to, I think, take the curlers out of his hair. And, yeah, like, I just loved getting them up in people's faces or getting them on an objective and, like, camping them there. Because they're not, like, deadly enough to shoot at. Like, they're easy to ignore, and then by turn 5 or 6...
Because they're not super scary.
No.
Yeah.
But, like, I made Nick have to deal with them.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Especially in an objective game.
Well, to be honest, the reason why I dealt with them is because I said I was going to kill them.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the first turn. Do you have sniper scouts kicking around?
I have sniper scouts, so going back to hobby progress, they are in a mason jar full of simple green.
Because I think they'd serve you way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're like, I have a bolt pistol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had a funny conversation about these guys have an extra attack. Why? They don't have chain swords. No. I'm like, they can't have chain swords, Paul. And he was like, well, they got an extra attack. What do they have? I'm like, a combat weapon, which is also the same rules as a chain sword.
I was just so mad.
Like, they should have just been like, chain sword.
Yeah, or combat. Yeah. Like,
Wow. Yeah, not everything's a chainsword though.
That's true.
Yeah. Some things are a combat.
Just for
blade.
WYSIWYG purposes.
But yeah, that was just such a moment where I was like, God, Nick, you do this to me all the time.
Well, I was looking at the rules. I'm like, they don't have a chain sword, Paul.
Yeah, I knew the intent of the words I was saying. But yeah, like, other than that, I already mentioned it. Land Raider, complete beast. Get one, build one, paint one.
Kill it with las cannons.
But, like, it lasted, what, 5 turns?
Yeah.
Because, like...
I love how 2 of them were with one wound left.
Yeah.
Neutering it turn 1, I was just like, okay, it's hitting on 4s. I'm not too worried about
Well,
it.
you didn't neuter it, though. That's the thing. Like, it becomes less effective.
Yeah, so
but,
I neutered it.
No, but neutering is, like, completely...
Zero effective.
Yeah. Do I need to, like...
Dead boys ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, it's still working.
So anyways,
Do I need to explain this to you?
not on the podcast.
Okay.
We'll do it after.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
We'll explain it in post.
Edit this out, too, would you please?
Adam,
My turn?
you got a lot to talk about. You got one of the
Oh.
most unique factions.
I do. I have so much to talk about. So
Yeah, man.
first off, faith.
You have 3 minutes.
No. There's no way to do it. So faith is interesting because by default you get 1 faith for your whole army every turn, and you get it on 2 up.
At the start of your turn.
Yeah, the start of the movement phase, and so order of operations is important. But I'll talk about order of operations in a second. The way you get more faith is by either taking Celestine, who gives you a guaranteed one, or taking a Magifiers, which are like a small elite character unit that lets you get faith on a 4 up. And so the options for faith are move like it's a movement phase, shoot immediately, fight immediately, or regain a model from a unit, or heal wounds, which is kind of neat.
That's big, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we were looking at it, and Nick was like, "Oh, you can do heal wounds," and I'm like, "Oh, I've lost a penitent engine."
Not
How
just
cool would
heal
it be?
wounds.
Or replace
Resurrect
model.
a dead guy.
Yeah, so it's like, I can put a penitent engine back on the table with one wound left. That's pretty sweet.
Huge. Like, depending on when you're doing that could be such a nuisance.
Yep. So I have some things to learn with my army about how to position those units that give other units the ability to do faith, because I often found myself a little bit out of position, which is unfortunate. Just strategy-wise with faith, you deep strike one of your units in, like, let's say my Seraphim, which all have hand flamers that have an 8-inch range. I really want to do my faith so I can move them closer, but I can't.
Yeah. I feel like that's a poor rules design.
Yeah.
Like, just let them come down and set stuff on fire.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
You don't need to deploy them via deep strike, though, because
You
you
don't
could
need
do
to.
the 12-inch movement, then the free movement, and now all of a sudden you've jumped 24 inches across the table, and you now have a 32-inch threat range.
Yep. And so that's just like tactical learning for the first game, right? You just learn how your stuff works, and
being able, and then charging.
Yep. And so basically, the
That
moral
is-
of the story is just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do
It's a
something, right?
36-inch threat range.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as the Helldrake.
Yep.
Yeah, it's goofy.
Yeah.
And so, with the way characters work, basically the Seraphim and Celestine run around together. And Celestine's just like, you get my free faith, and then I'll take the one on the 2-up, or whatever you prioritize how you want. The Exorcists are still D6 shots, which I'm kind of upset about.
The one time you got a 6, you rolled 5 ones.
Make it 2d3.
Yeah, right? Guaranteed at least 2 shots.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then one thing that I didn't get to play today, but I'm really excited about, is that Repentia can go into Rhinos, which they couldn't before.
Or immolators.
They could go into Immolators, yes
Or
they can.
repressors.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Forge Worlds, who knows? It's
Yeah.
not out yet.
I love the repressor models, too. Like, that's
The immolator or the repressor?
a repressor.
The big dozer blade, a
Yeah.
little...
Why? What did I say? I said repressor.
Yep, you said
Yeah,
the right words.
I was just confused.
Yeah.
As long as you meant repressor.
I did mean...
Do you have any repressors?
You have 2.
I thought those were immolators.
No?
I think if we say repressor one more time, Forge World might send us a free one.
Repressor!
Thank you.
So you have immolators right now. That's what you're using as rhinos today.
No.
Nick.
You have immolators. You have repressors right now. That's what you're using as immolators.
Nick has no idea what's going on.
You have.
I'll tell you what
2
tanks have. Let me
converted
tell you what I have.
Repressors that you converted to be rhinos.
Nick,
No.
I need you so badly to shut up right now.
Let me tell you the tanks that I have.
Okay.
I have 2 repressors, the exact Forge World model.
Yes.
I have 3 rhinos that I converted to have from immolators.
That's what I
So
mean.
they
So
look cool.
today you didn't have any repressors. You said yes when I asked you that question.
No, I did not. I answered all your questions perfectly.
No, that's not true.
And you have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
It's so late.
So here's another just tactical decision thing. The Imagifiers are really the only way you can exponentialize your faith.
That's not a word. Exponentialize?
Yeah.
That's not a word.
Nick, again. God,
Like-
you've got places to be.
Because you only get 1 faith test for your whole army every turn unless you take them, and they're just unreliable on a 4-up. So you either have to make your decision to take a certain detachment so you can get more command points to like make it more likely to get, or not. And either way, you're in your movement phase, so you can only reroll 1 of them. You just have to choose, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of tough. I feel like it's a little bit limiting, but it maybe if it was a little more free, it would be overpowered. So
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just feelings for that. Otherwise, my Repentia being in Rhinos, I'm really excited about because they have chainswords. Makes them really expensive still.
Eviscerators.
Eviscerators.
Yeah.
Yes, not chainswords. Chainsaw swords.
Excellent.
And I just really want to actually put them on a table and feel like they're going to do something. Because they might now.
How's Celestine do? Aside from not coming back, that's statistical fluke.
She murdered a squad of Ice Marines really
Yeah.
quick. And a rhino.
Oh,
Yeah,
girl.
yeah.
2 rhinos.
Maybe. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
kept
cool.
feeding her right. I was.
Yeah, her come back to life. So this is the thing. Tactical decision with Celestine. You can choose where you take your units. Just
Wounds.
the way your wounds. Never take them on her first.
Yeah, I don't know why you did that. In our game, like I pushed one wound through, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna take it on Celestine. I'm like, well,
'Cause
every other wound has to go on her now.
Yeah,
Well,
that's...
So
Well, we're learning.
in 7th,
We're learning.
you would always do that against small arms fire. Take
Yeah.
them on her first because she's got the better save.
Yeah, and then look out for the rest.
Yeah,
Or look out, ma'am.
that's right.
Ladies can be sirs.
Ladies can be sirs in,
That's
the,
true.
in the army. That's how it goes. But now it's you're stuck. You're stuck. You have to take the rest of your fire on her. And I just,
Yeah,
got caught with the nuance of don't.
I think we did miss that
rules.
on the shooting, so we'll just mention it briefly. When you have multiple wound models, it's not 5th edition where you can have a squad of 10 knobs, each with 1 wound each, and just keep dishing them out. When you take more wounds, they go on the models already wounded.
yeah, there's blood in
They
the water,
have to.
and you attack that model first.
Yes.
I'm gonna fill out my Kosharadons.
So what that meant was I could never regenerate my Gemini because Celestine's standing there going like, I'm bleeding, so just keep hitting me. And then when I did roll the 1 to get her back to life with full wounds, the Gemini just disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's clear indication that you are never supposed to be in the position where you put a wound on her first.
No, because you automatically regenerate 1 Gemini a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, like somebody at the rules factory was like, no one will ever put a wound on her first.
Yeah.
And then you're like, dup, 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 dup.
Not anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what these first couple of games are for. Like, we learn our weaknesses. We like kind of shake out the bugs.
Yeah.
That's true.
I love how. So I think this will be the last thing I say. Penitent Engine's movement 7 makes them that much faster. Totally caught Nick on the back foot where I did their faith, moved them 7, and then movement phase, moved them 7 again, and managed to get the charge off. And it was
fail
just.
that charge?
No, they made it in.
Oh, right.
Okay.
And you killed the Noise Marines, and the Noise Marines killed you when they died.
One of them.
One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was awesome.
And so just having bigger units be able to move faster because they have really long legs.
Yeah, that's cool. I
That
like
makes
that.
sense.
That's cool.
I like that.
Contemptor's moving 9. Awesome.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, when I first looked that up today, I was like, who am I? Like,
Yeah.
look at this guy
I was
just
really happy.
Yeah, look at that guy legging it. Just, and, like, moving 9 inches and shooting with, like, very few penalties. Dope. So
Yeah.
dope.
Yep.
Does he take -1 to hit if you move and shoot his carries?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I think
I don't like that, but
Most
whatever.
things do.
I'm fine with it,
It's
honestly.
It makes sense. It makes a
Because
lot of
it's
sense.
just -1, right?
Because you can fire all
Yeah.
weapons now with vehicles, right? It's not like, oh, I moved 6 inches, I can only fire
Yeah.
2 weapons.
But he only
and
has
then
the
I'll
one,
fire.
so-
He has 2.
Yeah, he's got the...
And he can take another one. He can take a Havoc launcher as well. Oh, wait, no, that's Chaos. Never mind. Never mind, Nick.
And well, that's 30k. All of them in 30k can take that.
Yeah,
Yes.
but if it doesn't come in the plastic kit, you can't take it, which is, like, super annoying.
Yeah, it's the Cataphracti, too. It's like,
Yeah,
if it's-
Cataphracti and the Tataros.
It's like, if it's not in the Betrayal at Calth or Burning of Prospero kit, you can't actually take
Oh, for
any
the 40k
upgrades.
rules?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, just make better... like,
Like, you can't even give it a melt-a-gun.
yeah, and I'm not even complaining because those kits are amazing, but it's just one of these things where it's like, but Chaos can take so much on their Terminators.
Wait for your Forge World stuff, man.
It's going to be so great.
Because that's the next thing that I'm excited for is the Forge World indexes. Because look behind you, there's like a bunch of Forge World stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
renter's
what do you
insurance?
do?
You should have renter's
I do
insurance.
have renter's
Okay.
insurance. I do, yeah.
Okay. Not that I'm going to burn down your place.
No,
JK,
no,
I'm
I
not
do
burning
have
down your
renter's
place.
insurance. Don't worry.
Okay.
So I guess that's all I got to say about Sisters.
You can't rent without it in Toronto.
Really?
Yeah, most
Yeah, you
landlords.
can.
Most
Yeah, you can.
most landlords are like,
No.
you have to show this to me.
I've moved 12 times in the last 12 years, and I've never had renter's insurance until I got car insurance, and they were like, if you get renter's insurance, your car insurance is cheaper.
Okay, well, pro tip: you own Warhammer, get renter's insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because floods, fire, acts of God, Paul.
I will jack up your stuff, my dudes.
So that's it. 8th edition, 2 games down, 1 game for Adam.
Yep. Guys,
times.
we had too much fun in this podcast, so we decided not to do a fun time, because every time is fun time with you.
Fun time. We're out of energy. We're out of beer. It's time to sign off for the night. We'll see you guys tomorrow, Saturday the 17th.
We promise we'll get our
Where?
sword and board.
Which is?
At Brock and Bloor.
Right. Bring coffee and donuts.
Yeah, I will open mouth kiss anyone who brings me a coffee. Straight up.
And a donut?
Yeah, and a donut. Sure.
Or he might take a high five too. Don't feel
Yeah,
pressure.
yeah. This is not legally binding.
I'm not old enough for coffee, so bring me an orange juice. Thank you.
I don't know. Don't look at me.
You're older than me.
You're younger than me.
We're done.
Let's just turn this off.
Bye, guys.
Good luck, everyone. This has been and will remain Paul Mr. Fist Fowler.
Point and click, Nick.
And Adam Truax, the truest axe to ever axe an axe.
And thanks for joining us. And check back again soon for some more 40k goodness. And remember, it's just inches and cubes.
Like a monkey in a rocket on his way back home. Okay.